No, thank you very much. I think it's very interesting that most South Africans, especially young entrepreneurs, they always feel that one has to always have money to start a business, and then secondly, they always feel that you have to borrow money to start a business. You don't have to have money. You don't have to borrow money to start a business, because most people want to first know whether is your business got a market or not, and most people don't know how you can end up with an organization that's big without having had any investment, and you've had investment. Why do you need investment? So I think just to kick off with my life, I think I was born in Port Elizabeth. I was born in a shack behind a funeral parlor, because I was born behind dead people. But obviously, I always felt that there's another day always gives you a different opportunity. So what happens in the past for me and what is in the past always to me stays in the past. What's always important for me is what can I do into the future. So where I was born did not matter to me. What always mattered to me is what is into the future. How am I preparing myself? How am I skilling myself into the future? And obviously one has to, before you do anything else into the future, you've got to know what gifts you've got that are given by God to you to improve the world. Some of us can sing, some of us can't sing. I mean, I'm useless at singing. I mean, there was a choir one time that I was part of at school, and we were all sitting there singing. And then the teacher kept getting close to me, and then we were all going wild and singing loud. And then until he said, Lebo, let's see if we move you out of this choir. Let's listen to the choir again. And then the choir went on nicely without me. And he said, yeah, that was the problem. So Lebo, just stick aside and then let's continue. And then that's where I knew that I'm definitely not born to sing. But what I knew is that I loved music. Hence, I think later on in my life, I then used the skill of being organized, because I was very gifted with being organized, and I was also very creative. So I used the skill of being creative to rather manage and develop artists rather than be the one that sings. So when you have a talent, it does not necessarily mean that you must be Beyonce, but you could manage Beyonce. So if you are passionate about a certain space, you don't have to be stuck in that space as the original form. So the idea is that use the power and the skill that you've got and then build that up around your talent. You understand? So that you become great. And that's what I've done over the years. And so the skill is the most important thing, and your talent the most important thing when you build a business. Now, the second most important thing when you build a business is the market that you are going for. Because the market that you're going for, not everyone can access markets. You could be in Tembisa, but all the spaza shop people are your friends. You know how they behave, you know how they buy, you know what their needs are. So when companies like Pioneer Food want to go to Tembisa, you own the market of Tembisa. Do you get what I'm saying? You don't need to set up a Pioneer Foods. You just have to facilitate that the goods of Pioneer Foods get to the market, and guess what? They pay you. Do you get what I'm saying? So where do you need to start a business? Where do you need to have you just need to have an office and a structure and the systems in place to make sure that that process happens. You understand? And that it happens well. And then obviously you put your markups just like any other business person, and then you're running a business. You don't own a product. Does Uber own a product? Does Airbnb own a product? So part of the fourth industrial revolution is that you don't need to own a product. Your job is to make sure that there's easy access to markets. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why I say the fourth industrial revolution works for the African continent, because the products are not owned by us. The infrastructure are not owned by us. We don't even have the capital to produce most of the goods. And everyone will try to go for funding for those capital. We can't, because we don't have the experience. But we can be passionate about the particular sector, and we can have the skill around that sector. Then we can own the market and understand the behavior of the market in that sector. And then we use that to our advantage now to make sure that the guys who provide and supply the goods meet the market and you are in between and you are making lots of money. Now, I've done that in the past. That's why I started in the services sector. So I started in the media business. So I produced magazines and events purely because the magazines and the events don't require capital upfront. You first sell the space or you sell the concept, people buy into the concept, then you host the event or you produce the magazines after people have paid you. Same concept as people who sell property. They sell you land that's empty and they show you a beautiful picture of how the houses are going to look like. And then they give you the money. And then guess what? You pay the money, they use your money to produce the product. Because that's the safest way we can do things as Africans, because we come from a disadvantaged scenario. Does it make sense? Yeah. So that's how I got to build the media business. So the media business was more events and publications. Then when I started making the money there, I then started producing my own publications. Then after making the money there, with the events, I then felt that there was an opportunity where these guys require transportation, these guys require 1, 2, 3, they always require accommodation. So then I invested into a chauffeur drive company, I invested into a hotel group, and then I started providing the value chain towards the eventing. And then at this later stage, I then bought into an events furniture hire company, which has now become the biggest in Gauteng, and potentially now will be the biggest in South Africa. So and then I started the Zani Lounge. Does it make sense? It's all part of a value chain that I bought because of the cash that I did not use to actually produce, but being the facilitator of goods and services. Then after that, then I decided to go into investment, which I wanted to now diversify out of the space. And then when I diversified out of the space, I then acquired an opportunity where I wanted to start a program with young people for the 12-12-12 program, where I wanted to recruit young people with great ideas. I invest in them. Then that's when I was recruited to Dragon's Den because of that. Then on Dragon's Den, I also made some few investments there. And that's how then later on, I got to end up with 32 companies. And the 32 companies with all my investments is now currently valued at 460 million. Now, but my journey obviously still continues. But I always want to make something very, very clear though, is that most people think that when I say my value or net worth is 460 million, it means that my investments, if I were to sell on my investments today, it would be that much. But does not mean I've got 460 million rand sitting in the bank. You understand? So, but however, most of the resources that I gather now are more focused now on the fourth industrial revolution, on fintech, which is the future of virtuality in the world. That in the world, you no longer have to go get the DVD physically from the shop.
That's true.
You have now Netflix that brings it directly to you. That's now the fourth industrial revolution. You no longer have to go get food physically at a shop. You use Uber Eats to go get. So everything has become part of a mobile campaign, which allows the fourth industrial revolution to be active. And now most Africans have got mobile phones. We have more mobile phones than anywhere else in our continent, than any other continent. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, that poses a huge opportunity for Africans to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. That is why most entrepreneurs now that I support and invest in are entrepreneurs that produce mobile apps, entrepreneurs that are in the fintech space, and entrepreneurs that come up with solutions whereby someone can use a phone, because that's very scalable.
Yes.
Hence your Ubers, hence your Instagrams, hence your all these apps now have got so much power into the future. That means they're the ones who are now running the industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution. Now, for you these days to attract any investor, firstly, you've got to find which market you are going to go for. You have to identify, do I go for people who want to get into taxis, which is what Uber did, for people who want accommodation, for people who want to food. So you've got to first identify which market are you wanting to go to. Then you create an opportunity that is an innovation where someone can now use their phone or any other functionality, whether it's online, web, because the reason why people use online or web or app is because it's scalable. So every investor wants to know that your market, is it a buying market? Is it a market that would be willing to buy and they're interested in what you are about to produce? Secondly, they want to know that, is this market only going to be South African or is it scalable all over the world? That's what every investor is looking for now. Thirdly, they want to know that this market that you are catering for, is it a market that's going to be repetitively coming back to that solution? Is it a requirement that they will need on an ongoing basis so that there's sustainability? Now, I have been investing in those platforms. The first one that I created was the Izani Lounge. Now, people can go into their phones and go to Izani Lounge. They'll be able to pay for their tickets to Makufe, to the Durban July, to everywhere, without even having to contact my office, without them having to contact anyone for that matter. Everything online. So they're able to receive their tickets also online. They don't have to go anywhere. Someone does it at the comfort of their home. That's where the future is. No one wants to be driving around and moving all over the place just to go get a physical product. So the fourth industrial revolution is a mix between physical, technology, and service.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
So the second thing now that we are creating with my team is where you can book into any restaurant, into any club, without having to be there. Your seat is secured, you've already booked your alcohol into that club. All you do is just walk in and enjoy yourself, and you know exactly where you're sitting.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying? And that's part of my hospitality. So I decided to invest in the hospitality space when it comes to this revolution. Now, if anyone wants to be a potential investee or someone that, you need to obviously know the numbers.
Yes, sure.
So you need to know what is the potential revenue that you will have around what you are trying to present. Firstly, are you the owner of the IP? Who owns the IP around what you're trying to put together in the space that I'm talking about? I'm talking about the industrial revolution side of things. Are you the owner? Or is your partner the owner of the IP? Or is the partner the technical person? And then the third one is that, have you proven that the market would like such a solution? And if you've proven all of those things, there's no reason for any dragon investor or a shark or anyone for that matter, if they already see that there's a sign of revenue in the space, why should they not? This weekend, the Izani Lounge is sold out for the Culling Black Label, the Soweto Derby. Why? Because people could access their tickets directly from the Izani Lounge site, and it's sold out. The Durban July, our lounge at the Durban July, the Izani Gold Lounge, was sold out. We had over 500 people there. Lira was performing, Jimmy Lud was performing. The market wanted it. So if you can prove that you are sold out, why should someone invest in you to take you to the next level? So what they say is that the proof is in the pudding.
Yes.
So most of my journey, as I built the companies, I then decided, what do I want to build? I've specifically said media and hospitality. I said, do I want to diversify? Yes, I said I want to diversify. But I was very specific on my diversification that I want technology. And that's what has introduced me to the fourth industrial revolution. The last part within my journey is property. I just feel that black people don't own enough property. We rent too much. The money goes to the wrong hands. The power goes into the wrong hands, and the wealth ends up in the wrong hands. that still control us as a majority. So now, I initiated a structure called the Enterprise Development Property Fund. Now, this property fund, we are setting it up as a 5 billion rand property fund. Now, the idea behind the property fund is to make sure that young black entrants who want to go into the property space have an opportunity to do it, whether it's upstream or downstream. But the most important thing is that if you have facilities management, or you want to develop a property, or you want to sell houses, or you want to buy a property and then rent it out to government or to entrepreneurs, you must have the opportunity to do that. And in other countries, they help you to do that. They give you the money to buy the property because they know property is a safe haven. Now, none of our funding institutions support any entrepreneur that wants to buy a property. I don't know how and why. So that's why we decided to set up the property fund. It's an initiative that is started by entrepreneurs so that we can help other entrepreneurs. Government has got so many dilapidated buildings around the country.